Ciao, and welcome back to this episode of the iMovie podcast, in which this week we're doing a special episode in which recently we've seen that people are discussing Mount Rushmore of different things, whether it's sports or music or, whatever. As if you know what Mount Rushmore is, it is a monument in the United States, which features the faces of 4 presidents who are...
I don't remember who they are. Who are also in a lovely film by Alfred Hitchcock called North by Northwest.
They are also in the end of Alfred Hitchcock's North by Northwest. And those 4 presidents are, I think, George Washington, Thomas Jefferson, Abraham Lincoln, and Teddy Roosevelt.
In any case, there will be a picture, and maybe Clem wants to also correct. With the names.
If I'm wrong, that would be quite embarrassing.
It might be
we might just cut that from the video, but I think it's right. Anyway, so we want to know, basically today, what the Mount Rushmore of... We were going to do different national cinemas, but today we're just going to focus on American cinema / Hollywood. And we want to find the 4 films that would be on a Hollywood Mount Rushmore. And so, to clarify, this isn't the best films or our favourite films.
No. It's
the ones which we think are most important in a specific national cinema, which in this case happens to be
the US.
American national cinema. And we're starting with US because it's probably the film industry from which we've seen the most films and one of the most interesting to debate, I guess, because there's the most options and it's just been so many important American films.
See, although it would be a bit like, I didn't prepare my list because I was focusing on the Italian one for, I guess, a potential next episode.
I'm going to fire out some options and let you say yes or no.
And I can,
because I kind of
we can discuss it, so it's going to be a live discussion in the end.
And I also wanted to say, I think also, because we only get 4 spots, we should pick 4 films from different styles, maybe. So, for example, if this was the Japanese one, I think one should be from the Japanese New Wave, one should be animated.
Even for example, okay, in my case it was like Italian,
yeah,
and many quite relevant are of the near release.
2 Fellini ones, for example.
No, of course I wouldn't pick 2 Fellini, but maybe a Fellini and Antonioni, yes.
Yeah, exactly.
Can I do that? I don't know. Let's see. Let's see, ragazzi.
So in the American,
and by that we mean US.
In the US Mount Rushmore of films. There's obviously a few films that neither of us have seen that could potentially be included. Those being Gone with the Wind, for example, Casablanca.
Correct.
And even, for example, I was thinking, if you consider it to be American, consider it to be Italian, The Good, the Bad and the Ugly.
For me, it's Italian.
It's possibly the most famous Western of all time, and the Western is... I mean, actually, maybe John Ford's films could be
but
the first Westerns.
Sergio Leone. Yeah. No, Sergio Leone is the one who... I don't know if that's also a thing in English, but in Italian, when I was doing my cinema campus when I was a child, we were calling the Sergio Leone the Leone shot. So just the eyes. And then we call it Leone, but I don't know if that's just in Italy
I
or
don't know. I've never
general.
Heard that before, but I mean, I know that shot from The Good, the Bad, the Ugly is, it's one of very important. And I have seen like parts of The Good, Bad, the Ugly, but I haven't seen the whole film somehow.
Maybe as a child I did.
So that's obviously not going to be on our list. It could be otherwise, but it could also count as Italian. So, and would it be on the Italian Mount Rushmore? That's the question. Do you think?
Allora, I wouldn't even say it doesn't even. The fact is, now that I'm thinking about, because that's also another big topic. Sergio Leone is Italian, born in Italy, but in the Western, I'm sorry, but are a bit actually US topic.
That's what I mean. I think it would be more well placed on this Mount Rushmore than the Italian because it's more representative of America. Also, America is a very multicultural place, so and multicultural films are representative of America. For instance, one of the first films I wrote on the list that could be, in my opinion, on the Mount Rushmore of American films is actually Goodfellas, which is directed by Martin Scorsese.
But I never thought you would have chosen a Scorsese Goodfellas.
Well, I also wrote down Taxi Driver, but I think Goodfellas is more representative of the gangster film.
Okay.
I wouldn't put both Goodfellas and The Godfather. I think most people would maybe choose The Godfather as the definitive American gangster film. It came before Goodfellas. I think Goodfellas has a style that I prefer, and also potentially a more influential style. I think it's been one of the most influential American films ever. A stylized vision of a criminal lifestyle, which was the voiceover, the freeze frames, all of these Scorsese traits that, for example, fed shows like The Sopranos, most successful, or most well received, that created and influenced Quentin Tarantino, one of the most successful American filmmakers of all time. Still to this day, we're seeing, in the last decade, we're seeing American films like American Made starring Tom Cruise, or War Dogs starring Jonah Hill, or even latter-day Scorsese films like The Wolf of Wall Street that take from Goodfellas' structure of the main character narrating back through their life with a lot of use of rock music. Not all of those are successful imitations or as good as Goodfellas, and that was why I went back to it over, for example, Taxi Driver, and even over The Godfather. The Godfather is a great gangster film, but I don't think it's been as influential or as important, potentially, which I may be wrong, maybe I'm biased. What do you think?
I think The Godfather, I haven't seen the second nor the third. That's maybe the premises. But I think The Godfather is super well made. Mafia of those years, mafia by mafia I don't intend like a general criminal organization. It's mafia from Sicily. It's very well made and accurate. So historically accurate. However, maybe could also that be on the borderline between Italy and the US, as in it's very US because it's Italian American, clearly. But it's not just Italian. Like some dynamics change because it's in the US. However, I don't know, because it depends. Do we consider the topic relevant for making it to the Mount Rushmore?
I kind of
maybe
assume...
I would also say Goodfellas, although there is a bit of Italian American in that. But okay, the US is also that.
Because I like the idea of having a crime film there, because I think it's... And it can cover a lot of things. But I think Goodfellas is a good example of an American crime film that's very typically American as well, I think, and it's influenced a very
more,
typically American
than
genre.
The Godfather, that's what I was thinking.
It depends, I think. They're both of their time as well.
It's true.
But I think The Godfather, one thing I would say is The Godfather, it's very well made, I think, brilliantly acted and well written, well shot, obviously fantastic. Al Pacino is great. But I think it idealizes that world more than Goodfellas does. Goodfellas has very flawed characters who are erratic, stupid, drunk, and then all end up somehow reaping, and betray each other in a very terrible way. Whereas in Godfather, you still have that idea of kind of the nobility of crime, which is for sure criticized, but also aestheticized, that somehow the main character, whether it's Marlon Brando or Al Pacino, is still perceived as very cool and smooth, and the film admires him more than Scorsese admires the main character in Goodfellas, which is maybe another thing I prefer of Goodfellas.
So I understand what you mean, and which is also something that in general you like of Scorsese, because he makes you despise the characters that usually are quite praised.
Yeah.
Especially maybe in cinema. So yeah, I understand what you mean. I agree. And also in general, I think maybe Goodfellas could be... Although maybe I would have said more Taxi Driver. It's not gangster.
Yeah, it's just not a crime film necessarily, which is why it's hard to...
But would you have chosen for crime, gangster, maybe... I don't know, a film that focuses more on the... Maybe like Do the Right Thing, which then deals with more topics, as in not only maybe Italian, although important.
Yes.
and Irish, maybe. But more...
Yeah, I don't know. I guess it's less...
broader in a
It's probably had
way.
less influence overall, but it still had a lot of influence.
Yeah, less influence, yes. But still, it's one of the masterpieces, I think. It's also maybe in the top 250.
It is very high.
Exactly. So
I think it's maybe for me
which year did it
I think having a Scorsese on the 4 would make sense.
Also because he's one of the most... popular, successful, and
but I think also it would be cool to have a Spike Lee film in the list.
Certo, I agree.
And I don't think you can fit both in, because I think there's 3 other places and there's so many other themes that we have to cover apart from, I don't know. Well, I also think, like, for example, Malcolm X of Spike Lee, which I would really like to see, also potentially could be on, but I haven't seen it, so.
And that could also make sense, because if you want, exactly, so it's of an extremely relevant figure in the US, so that could also be. Then in that case, for me, we keep Goodfellas, Malcolm X.
Already having both. We'll have to come back to it because we only have 4 spots. And that's
if we want to, like, give a description, like, not a description, but a representation, symbolic, of course, and extremely limited representation of the US, then okay, we can have, like, the gangster Italian, but also whoever, because in the end it's not just Italians, right? Gangster bro blah 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 thing, which is Goodfellas, with the patriarchy that is very much there, and blah blah blah. And of course, like, cinematically speaking, super influent and technically brilliant. Malcolm X, representing historically.
Yeah, that's what I thought. But I still don't know if you can fit both. There's a lot of other films. I mean, and as much as I hate to say it, another thing that we could talk about in this category, I would personally wouldn't prefer it, but Pulp Fiction. Because I think Pulp Fiction, like, if you compare it to Goodfellas I think influenced Pulp Fiction, but Pulp Fiction has also in itself been very influential. I mean, it's probably the film with the most posters around that you see on T-shirts, on hoodies, on the posters
and some
become
people
iconic.
Are not even aware.
So for that reason, it could be on a Mount Rushmore. I wouldn't put it. I think I'd put Goodfellas ahead. But
although, if you want, at this point, it's a very good representation of the US, or some parts of the US, as in
clearly.
Also you're taking from something, making it more violent and pop, and a bit more also exploitative. And that's one side of the US for sure.
Yeah.
So in a certain way, that could also be.
Because I think I'm going to keep naming some more, and you're going to see how many films there are that we can battle through, because there's a lot. So we're going back to classical Hollywood, and for which Citizen Kane, of course.
I think that can't be removed.
You think it has to be there?
Yeah.
Well, what's Sunset Boulevard? Because I don't think you can put both. And Sunset Boulevard is about film.
Kane is more. I think Citizen Kane is probably the most influential film of all time. Globally, because US has a certain impact on the rest of the cultures.
Yeah.
Citizen Kane, it's a film that even me as a child I heard about. Of course, not with Citizen Kane. I knew it as Quarto Potere, but still, which is maybe more.
Yeah, because it's famous as being one of the best films. Actually.
Yeah, because it was made in great, in these crazy conditions.
Absolutely, and it's iconic. Has the camera going through the window and all of these amazing sets.
He made like the ceilings get removed or made in a way that he could shot from below. It's brilliant. It's criticizing the media.
Yeah.
And he was 24.
And if you don't have The Godfather, which maybe you should add as part of these ones, you should probably have Citizen Kane.
I think The Godfather, we both agree
they're
that
always
not
cited amongst the best films ever in American terms.
But I would remove The Godfather because we weren't 100% sure. Okay. You preferred Goodfellas over that. Me too. And also Citizen Kane, I mean, Orson Welles had really he could do whatever he wanted. That's also a bit of a unique thing in those years.
Yes.
Especially in those years.
And yes,
even
it's very...
now, with such a budget.
And yeah, maybe you're right. Maybe it does have to be there because it represents early Hollywood.
See. It represents culture and so much.
Because, yeah, there's
even
also...
cinema culture.
If you think about early Hollywood, there's also Chaplin, The Great Dictator, all that stuff. The Wizard of Oz.
The Wizard of Oz.
My God.
Cazzo di Wizard of Oz.
That maybe should be in there.
But then it would also be chronologically...
Because it's very close to with Citizen Kane chronologically, but I think you have to put Wizard of Oz. It's the first
Instead of?
No, but put them both. We can come back to it. Maybe we can have both in, but we have to include it in the shortlist, I think. Because the influence it's had on so many things. It's
such as
maybe the most influential film of all time, as you said, Citizen Kane, but on pop culture, so many things from The Wizard of Oz, The Yellow Brick Road, The Man Behind the Curtain, the Witch on the Broom, the Hurricane, everything became a bit iconic somehow, I think.
And the fact is that it became
Wicked.
iconic also outside cinema.
Yeah, which is...
But also because, okay,
And it's the first film to do that, maybe. I can't believe I didn't even have it written down. It just came into my head, luckily. We're probably forgetting some absolutely obvious films, by the way, and sorry for that in advance. We're not including Hitchcock because he's not American, also.
Yeah, because he's British.
Yeah.
And you can also
some of his films are made in Hollywood.
Although it's mostly based in I don't know if mostly, but it's often based in... Okay, I don't know. I will keep him for the UK.
Yeah, I agree. And also we have too many here already, so imagine. And we only have to choose 4 at the end, which is crazy. Anyway, so those are still on the... Wizard of Oz,
for now Kane. We have Goodfellas, Do the Right Thing, Malcolm X, Pulp Fiction, Citizen Kane, Wizard of Oz.
In a way, we should have Citizen Kane and Wizard of Oz both on there.
I know.
They're the 2 most convincing of those, in some sense.
And also it's crazy because Wizard of Oz, in the end, the main character is a girl, which is also absurd.
Yeah, but I don't know, a lot of early Hollywood films had a lot of... Because women made up a large demographic of cinema goers in that period.
If you think about also Sunset Boulevard, singing... Jesus.
I can't have it over Wizard of Oz.
And it's a musical, that could be interesting.
You can note it, but I don't think we can include it.
Although it's very influential.
Okay, I have some more, which are also huge, because I think we have to have at least one popular film. So I noted 4, which are... Maybe you disagree with all of them and you have a different suggestion, but I noted Star Wars, Jaws, Jurassic Park, and Titanic as, like, the popular... Because Hollywood, at the end, is also the most popular genre film, and these are films that are huge and so influential.
I also counted it for my Italian one. I counted some things that I wouldn't, or at least I will mention some things that I would never.
Yeah.
Although they are part of the culture, unfortunately.
Because I don't think any of these 4 are part of the best 4 American films ever made, probably.
Allora, can I say that I would note down... among these 4, I think Star Wars is the one that should be on the list. Over Titanic. I would have kept Star Wars and Titanic.
I agree, those 2 are the most important.
What did you mention? The other things?
Jaws and Jurassic Park.
Jaws, no. Jurassic Park, not as much. Titanic, it's extremely relevant. Also,
like Wizard of Oz, Titanic became very famous outside and beyond. Like, I hadn't seen Titanic until recently, but I still know it, of course. I think Star Wars should maybe be on there, to be honest. The original, if you're choosing one film, the first Star Wars. Of course. The 1977. Because Star Wars has spawned books, countless other films, a whole world, merchandise, video games,
TV shows,
fans all over the world beyond anything to do with the first film. It's really touched people's imagination in so much ways, so many ways.
Every type of person. So you could go from the most Catholic person, to the most atheist, if you want to say. Want to stick with religion.
And it's even started its own religion, because people now subscribe to Jediism and to the Force. Which is
the
like
Force
quite
is so much,
and
the Force be with you, I am your father. That's like lines that come day after day, and I think a Titanic, for
it
as
also
much
has iconic lines,
it can be,
because it has what is it? I'm on top of the world. I'm the king of the world. Yeah. I don't even know the lines, so it can't be that famous.
But exactly, not as much because you don't know the lines, and that's the only reason.
Or paint me like one of your French girls.
See, and also in general, everybody mad because Rose didn't let Jack on the piece of wood. Although I think I'm going to bit of ASMR session.
Are you crossing out
Madonna?
Beautiful ASMR.
Titanic has been crossed.
I had a few more wildcard suggestions of very important films that have to be... These are like slightly alternative, slightly individual, but also extremely influential. So
they can be cited at least.
The Matrix. Fight Club. The Shining. Shawshank Redemption.
The Shining, però... Kubrick is English.
That's true.
So...
Okay.
We go with
good excuse to not use it.
Shawshank Redemption is
Shawshank Redemption, extremely famous. Then I put Mulholland Drive. I don't think we can include it, but
why not?
But it would be very cool to include.
What did you say?
Because
the first one that you said?
It's American surrealism. It's not a huge sub-branch of American cinema, but of that sub-branch, it's by far the most important film, I think.
I agree. And isn't that like sub-branch super important?
To us, yes.
to us, of course, but I think also in the not extremely pop culture of the US.
I think you could argue Mulholland Drive is on there.
Exactly, appunto.
But it's also difficult because if you choose it over something like Shawshank Redemption...
I wouldn't put Shawshank Redemption. That's the ugly truth. It is influential, it is great on many levels. We discussed it above Clem's head, but not enough.
What about Schindler's List for you?
I thought about Schindler's List.
It's not an American for me personally. Film. I mean, it's an American film, but not set in an American context.
I agree. The topic is not there, and also I mean, then I would choose something else.
Same with Lawrence of Arabia, for example. It's not set in America. To be on the Mount Rushmore, it has to be about America as well somehow, which is why these are good.
What is the first one that you said of the culture? Fight Club before?
Oh, I said The Matrix.
And The Matrix.
But I don't think it's enough to be on the list.
I agree, although also that it's extremely iconic and influential. And influential also in the pop culture. So you often think here like red or blue pill.
Yeah, no, really. Pill. I mean, all these films are crazy influential. Apocalypse Now for the Vietnam War aspect. I don't think it would be on there.
But Rocky for me, it's removed within the gangster.
Or the action.
Bro, and the best films.
It's a difficult thing. So, Letty, if you had to choose 4 right now, which 4 would you choose?
Among the ones that we mentioned?
Yes. Among whatever. Tell me your Mount Rushmore of American films.
Now, whenever I have to think about it, I want a woman also. Because we haven't even mentioned one.
But it's hard to think of.
Do you have someone on your list? Also for the Italian one I'm looking for, but it's really... I could put like an Alice Rockbacher that we'll talk about in the future.
So, well, I was thinking, okay, because I also wanted to include it, but I was trying to think who the most important female director of American history is. And I don't know, to be honest. I don't think there's one that... It's not like French or Italian or some European art houses.
Kristen Stewart. I don't know.
Where Kelly Reichardt's one of my favourites, but it's very difficult to argue her being on the Mount Rushmore. And I can't really think of...
Me neither.
One who's...
But in a certain way, but it wouldn't.
Oh, The Matrix.
No, no. I thought about, of course, like Cheryl Dunia.
Mm.
Although that's our probably personal Mount Rushmore, but no, maybe I was thinking. You know what I was thinking? Also, extremely influential pop, blah blah blah. I'm sorry, but for me, Twilight could be there. Either a Twilight or even a Marvel.
But for me, that falls in the same category as Star Wars.
See.
So I wouldn't have Star Wars and something else.
Although Twilight, the audience is different because Star Wars is general. / male dominated.
Greta Gerwig.
God, Barbie.
But I don't think you would include Barbie. No.
Though extremely popular.
And Catherine Bigelow, so The Hurt Locker, which I wouldn't include.
Honestly, for now we have... Let's say that we keep Goodfellas. Pulp Fiction for me is more or less also there.
In the 4?
If you think about it, isn't it? I think that's more influential.
Yeah, but I think you have...
Commonly known influential is Pulp Fiction more than Goodfellas even, I'm telling.
Yeah, but then neither.
What would you put?
I'd put Citizen Kane.
Okay, no, Citizen Kane
and Wizard of Oz, actually.
But neither of the two is on the gang criminal life.
Yeah, that's okay.
Star Wars, but what I wanted to say is removing Citizen Kane and the Wizard of Oz and Singing in the Rain, which are a few, but still. The rest are either for general audience, but also some very aimed for a male audience. Star Wars, I'm thinking about mostly. For which, for me, it's a good contrast to have a Twilight.
Yes, that's true. But, that being said, I would rather have neither and something more neutral, because I think both Star Wars and Twilight could... If we could find a middle ground that's better than both, I would also be. No,
but Star Wars, I think we can't remove it. We can't.
But for me, Titanic could be in there above Star Wars.
More than Star Wars?
Star Wars has created a bigger
No,
universe, but
I don't
Titanic
think
is
so.
maybe a more famous film.
No, Titanic is more famous.
Yeah, than
No.
Star Wars, I'd say so.
No,
I don't know.
I don't think so.
More people. I mean, it's so hard to say this. But...
Yes, in a certain way, yes. Probably, I'm quite sure. I would say, I don't know. Titanic should be more watched compared to Star Wars, because also a lot of people, me included, although I've been forced to do that, but I would have never watched it because it's a bit of a pain that can't be denied. Then of course it's like a masterpiece. I mean, it's the fact is that you watch it because you know you should watch it. You know that if you want to know about cinema, also you have to watch also Titanic. I don't know, but I would keep Star Wars.
But the argument is, I hadn't seen Titanic and then I did, but I already knew the whole story because it's sat ingrained in pop culture. You hadn't seen Star Wars and then you had, but you knew none of the story.
It's not true.
You managed to avoid. Well, you knew some elements, but
I knew so many things.
Yeah, but you didn't know.
I knew
you knew
that
some
he was the
characters.
father.
Yes, okay, but you didn't know.
I didn't know
as much.
But I knew some things. I know the Jedi. I know Master Yoda.
Darth Vader.
Of course, yeah. I'm your fan. Luke Skywalker, Anakin Skywalker. I know Princess Leia, because I knew it before. But also, do we want to discuss the fact that it's been also on Friends, another extremely influential piece of work, of art. Therefore, I would keep Star Wars. So you see people going around with the socks of Star Wars.
Okay, so we keep Star Wars.
Not of Titanic. Not that that's something to...
No, but I agree. I mean, it's difficult. It's very difficult. It's very tight. What you're saying is that you want Star Wars, Citizen Kane, Wizard of Oz, and Pulp Fiction.
No. For me, it's for sure... But no, we are going to mention more.
Okay.
I think.
I hadn't got any more that I thought on that level.
Porca troia. Which means, oh cavolino.
I mean, there probably is more that...
Certo. I have to think about
Apocalypse Now... I wouldn't have it though.
No, me neither. Although influential.
Something by Howard Hawks or John Ford or one of the early westerns. I don't know.
No, but I thought like about even Philadelphia or something about even maybe Paris is Burning.
Rocky Horror Picture.
Urco de Horror. We will write it down.
No, because it's not. It's not on that level though. If it was, for example, in the French Mount Rushmore, you can go for something. That's why even Mulholland Drive I wouldn't necessarily include because it's not big enough to be on the Paris is Burning. No, you can't. I don't think you can have that either.
But I don't know. Because also we mentioned that it's. I'm going to use this adjective like American representing the US, which means also if we stick with. Pulp Fiction, let's say, Citizen Kane, Wizard of Oz, and Star Wars, I'm sorry, but the black culture is not there.
No, I agree. I mean, I wouldn't have Pulp Fiction, personally, anyway.
Okay, so we don't put Pulp Fiction because I think it's
been influenced, because I think these films should be...
the core.
The genesis of their genre, somehow. That's why, for me, Wizard of Oz should absolutely be there. It's one of the first Technicolor films. Super influential.
Do you know which one is the first?
I don't know. And also it's like it represents the shift into colour in Hollywood because the film starts in sepia and then goes into colour. Has to be on the list for me.
Va bene. Allora, we have for sure Citizen Kane and The Wizard of Oz.
If you want a black American film, let me think.
That's why Do the Right Thing could have been
Moonlight,
nice.
Maybe?
No. Too minor.
Yeah, but Do the Right Thing isn't for famous
you said
film.
no to Paris is Burning because...
It's not as famous as Moonlight.
Just because it didn't... I don't know. But okay, but it's very famous.
I agree.
The black and queer community.
I agree it is. But it can't, from that, it can't jump onto this, I think.
But not even Moonlight for me then.
But it's closer to, I'd say.
I thought also maybe about Philadelphia, although I wouldn't say that. Maybe I wouldn't say that in the top 4. But you know, that part... Or Tom Hanks, The Green Mile. No, I wouldn't put it.
Also, Nolan, for example, we haven't even mentioned.
Also, The Notebook. Nolan. Nolan for me, like a Batman could be. It's like kind of a Marvel superhero thing.
Yeah, the thing is Nolan's British.
Is very
and we're not
US.
counting Hitchcock. So
Nolan is British. Yeah, allora no.
All his films are Hollywood, but he's British.
Okay. Would you put like Spider-Man into the Spider-Verse? For me, it could work.
As a black... No, I wouldn't. I don't think
it's animation. Cazzo,
yeah,
Disney. No, I'm sorry then. I'm sorry. Disney can't not be there, and of course.
So which one? I mean, you could have
Shrek.
No, I'd have a classic. Like Snow White. Yeah.
As the first.
Yeah.
Va bene.
That means 3 films from before 1950, though.
Vabbè, it's the Rushmore, so it's not that they
I agree.
young presidents in the end.
That's true. That's a very good point, actually, Leslie.
I know, this is saving our culetti. Snow White, parentheses, Shrek.
We can do a parenthesis for all of them, maybe.
No,
so we're missing one. We have one left.
We can put the parentheses as in, like, one film that we could put... So that we would want to put in the top 4, I mean in this top 4, in the Mount Rushmore, that is actually influenced by one of the ones that we will actually choose. So
yes.
In this case, Snow White is
Shrek.
Is the Mount Rushmore, one of the 4 faces. Shrek is one other film that is that could be among the contemporary Rushmore. However, we don't put in our list, but is in the list of the biggest impact and being influenced by one of the 4 Rushmores. I wanted to be clear for the audience, but maybe...
So we have Citizen Kane, Wizard of Oz, Snow White. So we're missing one, which could be Star Wars, honestly, or something like that.
No, certo, sì, Star Wars. Star Wars, and I'm sorry, there is at least Snow White is a woman representation.
Wizard of Oz also has the main. For me, Wizard of Oz is probably the first on the list, actually. The more I think about it, the more it has to be there. I'd have these 3 and Star Wars.
God, so there is also Dead Poet Society.
Yeah, I also thought that. And Good Will Hunting.
Sì, but Good Will Hunting not as much.
It's maybe more representative of the US for me, though, somehow.
Sì, ma it's less recognized. I think one thing that we also have to take into consideration, and we're doing it, is how much these films can be recognized as the Mount Rushmore for the US
That's why, for
citizens.
Me, these 3 plus Star Wars is a good... then, I mean, there's many honorable mentions.
Cool. Sorry, do you want to see?
Okay. And now we'll make a little graphic. Here's Mount Rushmore.
It's taking my face.
We're going to put Mount Rushmore on the screen, and we're going to have the poster of each of these films to show... Let's see if I can edit it. Don't worry. To show you what we've chosen.
Link later.
Yeah, but would you?
No, I wouldn't put it. In any case, no, it wouldn't be as much.
Even something like Boyhood, which is very representative of the USA in some way, but you wouldn't include it. I mean, for example, Sunset Boulevard isn't on this. How could you include something like that over Sunset Boulevard?
I don't know, because, look, the fact is also, I don't know, since we watched it recently, Sunset Boulevard, and didn't know anything about it before. Mm-hmm. I don't know the influence that it had.
And also, I think it would be neat to have a film about Hollywood in the top 4, but maybe we can't fit it. I guess we can wrap up. We have our top 4 on Mount Rushmore. It's here. What would be on your Mount Rushmore? Do you agree with the choices we made? Did we forget anything off? Yes, let us know. So we'll